Some new footage has emerged of the Prime Minister's former press secretary, Boris Johnson's former press secretary, Allegra Stratton, joking at what appears to be a preparation for some sort of press conference about a Downing Street party that happened in Christmas of 2020. She basically jokes about it and sort of makes light, and it's quite eye-opening. So have a little watch of the clip.
I've just seen reports on Twitter that there was a Downing Street Christmas party on Friday night. Do you recognise those reports?
I went home. Hold on.
Would the Prime Minister condone having a Christmas party?
What's the answer?
I don't know.
It wasn't a party, it was cheese and wine.
Just be clear, it's not.
Is cheese and wine all right?
No.
It was a business meeting.
I'm joking.
This is recorded. This fictional party was a business meeting. And it was not socially distanced. One more, and then ask anybody have any questions today?
They're laughing at you. They are laughing in your face. Every single one of them. We're under the illusion that we are a true democracy in this country, and you know, we're not far off, but not quite there, because we have an elite that can just get away with anything. The political and economic establishment of this country cares so very, very little about ordinary people that they consistently do horrible, horrible things to us. They made everyone not see a lot of their loved ones last Christmas, right? It was very, very tough. People suffered and people died during the Christmas period alone. They were alone. In the meantime, the Prime Minister, cabinet ministers, aides and different assistants and advisors were having a lovely little party in 10 Downing Street, and it appears that several different journalists were there, including high up journalist at The Sun, allegedly. And that would make sense given that The Sun's front page has no mention of this story at all. They're laughing at you. They don't care. They broke the rules that they made and made everyone else follow. Stratton's resigned now, and she was like crying, when she gave a little announcement of her resignation. No sympathy, obviously. I have absolutely no sympathy for her, just like she had no sympathy for all of the ordinary people who couldn't see their loved ones, who followed the rules, who made sacrifices that had significant impact on their mental health. And they did it because they believed that the government was acting in the best interest of the people. They believed that we all needed to pull together, because that's what Britain is, man. At the end of the day, that's what Britain is. It's a country of people who will just power through together when we need to help each other out in a crisis. That's the best of our country. This government is the worst. This government is the absolute worst of our country. It's the absolute worst. And now we're getting accusations of several other parties that occurred in that sort of period. I think November through to like the sort of back end of December, maybe beginning of January. It's unclear, but it seems like there were at least 3 different parties. 3. All of which violated lockdown rules. All of them. And it's really, really infuriating. The SNP have called for Boris Johnson to resign. Labour have said he needs to apologise, which, let's be honest, is pathetic. They should be calling for the resignation not just of the Prime Minister, but every single member of the cabinet who was there. And let's be honest, we as the public should be demanding the same thing, and that all the journalists who were there get fired. Because they were breaking the rules too, and they didn't report on the fact that high up people in the British government were breaking those rules. And of course, they're denying that there ever was a party, but if there was a party, then it was following the rules, but maybe it wasn't following the rules, so actually it was just a gathering of some sort. Maybe there was no gathering at all, but something did happen, but something didn't happen, and it's so confused. It's such a messy cacophony of various different stories, because that's what happens when you lie. You get yourself caught up and tied up in knots, and eventually you get caught out. And that's what these people are. The government of the United Kingdom. Our country, a country that I love, a country with amazing people, a country that, you know, I used to be proud of. And our own government is just full to the brim with liars who've sacrificed the integrity of the rules that were supposedly keeping us safe, who've just totally disregarded these rules that they made everyone else follow because they, I'd like to have a Christmas party. I'd like to have some cheese and wine with some friends. I can't imagine the people at those parties were particularly good company. Let's be real. I'd rather saw my own hands off than hang out with them lot. But it's a demonstration of who they really are. And when someone shows you who they really are, you got to believe them. We deserve better than this. Come on. I really hope that all of you watching and everyone in our country really starts to see the Conservatives for what they really are. Right? Labour are a very flawed party. I'm not going to pretend they're not. They disappoint me very, very frequently, and I've been very critical of them, and I'll continue to be very critical of them. But at the end of the day, they're as different as chalk and cheese. The Conservatives have corruption and violating the concept of the rule of law, where the law is equal for everyone. It's not an aberration of their government. It is the essence of their government. It's baked into the cake of what they do and of who they are and how they govern or don't govern. That's just a fact of British politics. Has been for a long time, and we need to hold them accountable. They shouldn't just apologise. They shouldn't even just resign, every single one of them, starting with the Prime Minister. They should also be fined, even imprisoned if that's what the law would entail. If it was anyone else, right? If it was your neighbour Steve, you know, if it was your girlfriend, if it was your teacher, if it was your doctor, if it was you, what do you think would happen? If you'd broken those rules like that, what would happen? Well, we know what would happen, because around that exact same time, other people had parties. They broke the rules. The parties were stopped, they were broken up by police, and people received really quite substantial fines. Some pretty big fines. Will that happen to the British government? Well, of course not. Because it's one rule for them, one rule for the rest of us. It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace. Right? I can't fathom how anyone could support them now. I really don't. And Labour needs to utilise this moment, because it is about time there was a reckoning in British politics, in British society generally. And by reckoning, I mean we finally started to address corruption, rip it out root and stem, that we actually apply the rule of law properly. Everyone is treated equally under the eyes of the law, in the eyes of the law. It's really very simple, basic stuff. Absolute essential tenets of a free, democratic and prosperous society, and we are failing. We're failing. And look, this has been an evident failure of the Tories for a very long time, right? Especially in the last couple of years, since Boris Johnson became Prime Minister. You know, the constant corruption scandals, the constant lying, the constant deception, the constant crisscrossing of different stories and mismatching of people's alibis and excuses. It all showed us one thing, and this is really hitting it home, and it's that they don't care about you. They feel invincible. They'll do what they want. The rules don't apply to them. That position, it's not about helping you, it's not about helping ordinary people. It's not about doing what a government is supposed to do, and that's help its people, improve their lives. It's not about that. It's about improving their own career and the career of their mates. This tiny, tiny clique of incredibly wealthy people, most of whom went to Eton, Harrow, Oxford, Cambridge, you know. I don't know what else to say. This is just incredible. They've broken the law, and we basically know that. And obviously, you know, Dominic Raab said that the police don't, you know, investigate things that happened in the past. And of course, they didn't prevent. They're very bad at preventing crime, because when people get, when many complaints are made by people, especially sort of dangerous men, by women, they don't do anything about it until the man does something horrendous. So they're not preventing crimes in the future. They're not investigating crimes in the past and prosecuting those crimes. So what do they only do anything? Did the Met only do anything if it happens right in front of them? If an officer witnesses the crime himself and manages to film it on a phone? I despair. It's grotesque. It's grotesque. But look, this isn't even the worst story we've covered this week, right? Skyrocketing levels of poverty amongst disabled people because of the Tories' policies. Directly, that's more despicable. That's hurt more people's lives. I don't know what it says about our country's priorities that this is the thing that starts to hurt the Tories' support base when all of the horrible things they've done already. But whatever it is, let's try and push these fuckers out, because they don't care about us. They care about only themselves and their ultra wealthy mates. It's about time we kicked them out and elected a government that actually cares about people, a government that actually has a plan to address the many problems we have in our society, and a government that, for God's sake, obeys the basic rules of society like everyone else. I'm interested in your thoughts, as always, so leave them in the comments if you want. Thank you all very much for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe, share the video as well, because it's we've seen the British establishment media is certainly not up to the job, because they were in on this in a lot of ways. They were in on this. They went to these parties, a lot of them, allegedly. So I think it's more important than ever that we have alternative media, that we have grassroots or progressive media, like this show, like more broadly DGN, who produce this show, and we need to be getting this stuff out there and make sure we're connecting with as many people as possible. Sure, I would really appreciate that. Thank you all, as always, for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.